Hello, I'm Stan Hall. Welcome to this edition of the Gwinnett Sports Commission's Get in the Game. While the traditional sports of football, baseball, and basketball obviously get plenty of press, there's a new sport that is making some serious headway into the mainstream. And no, I'm not talking about soccer, I'm talking about lacrosse. Some will argue that lacrosse is the fastest growing sport in our country. Not only do they have the grassroots support from youth, high school, and college, there's actually a professional lacrosse league that is alive and well, founded in 1998, and is made up of about 8 teams throughout the country. Today we're going to take a look at this fascinating and fast-growing sport, and our guest today is Chris Hutchinson of ALOHA Lacrosse. Chris, welcome to the show and thanks for being with us. Chris, when we think about lacrosse, many of us like myself still consider it a very new sport. In fact, it's not new at all, is it? Tell us a little bit about the history.
Lacrosse has got a great history. I think it goes way back. The Indians are really the inventors of the game, and it's got some great spiritual and great history throughout the United States and America. It started off as a war between tribes to the death, and there were no boundaries and no real rules. It then became kind of a warrior game where it was made up to kind of prove who you were, what you were as a warrior, and it's just kind of evolved from there to where it is today.
Yeah. Now, the rules of the game, if you will, and I know that's a very broad topic to cover, but for those who may be watching today who aren't familiar with the rules of lacrosse, tell us some comparable sports that are somewhat similar as far as the way the game is played.
First of all, I must quickly say is the rules of the men's game and the rules of the women's game are completely different.
Okay.
And let me start a little bit with the men's game. The men's game, I always tell people it's a little bit of a combination of soccer and hockey, ice hockey. And so it has some of the field rules and some of the techniques of soccer, and then it has the physicality and the toughness of ice hockey. That's kind of I kind of draw it out. There's 10 men on the men's side. There's 3 attackers, 3 midfielders, and three defensemen with 1 goalie. The attackers and the midfielders have to stay on their halves of the field, and then the midfielders can go all over the field and also the goalie has to stay on their half of the field. We play with a stick, okay, which is always a challenge that people look at and say, we see you always catching and throwing with a stick and hitting with a stick. It's the fastest game on 2 feet. It's up and down the field with a lot of physicality.
Now you talked a little bit about the difference between the men and women, and I know from reading about the sport that in the beginning it was a men's sport, and then at some point in time apparently women were added. When did that transition sort of happen?
Yeah, the women's game came from England, which is kind of fascinating. The first high school that played women's lacrosse was in Baltimore, Maryland. And it was more of as women's prep schools developed over the years, preparatory schools for colleges, which was a big thing for women. Lacrosse became one of those sports that women played to get ready for college. And that was in I think the mid-1800s, and has evolved over the years as women's sports have evolved.
I was reading a little bit. I grew up in the South. You're talking about the fact that you're from Baltimore, I believe, but I grew up in the South, and I don't remember lacrosse in the South at all as I was growing up, but having read a little bit about it, it's been so popular in the North and particularly in the Northeast with some of the colleges, Syracuse and Providence being very powerful. I did see where North Carolina snuck in there one year and won the national championship. When did that migration toward the South start to happen as far as the interest in lacrosse?
Yeah, the sport, you're right, is exactly Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast has been a very popular. A lot of Ivy League schools play it. It's always been a big sport in the Ivy League schools. And then also Syracuse, Army and Navy was always very involved. I don't really know why it got so popular in the Northeast and Baltimore specifically, where U.S. Lacrosse is based, and we like to think it's kind of Mecca. Not trying to say any other place is Mecca, but it just seems there seems to be something there that brings lacrosse to Baltimore. And then in the 60s, it started spreading a little bit, and the ACC got involved. North Carolina, Duke, NC State at one time had a team, and then they dropped the team. So right now in the ACC, there's Duke, UNC, Maryland, which is leaving the ACC, and Virginia are the traditional schools. And then I think really where lacrosse evolved in the South was as another alternative to other sports. I went to the University of North Carolina and played lacrosse there, and when I was there back in the late 70s, I walked around with my lacrosse stick and they thought I was crazy and didn't even know what it was. You can walk around now in Atlanta in Gwinnett County and you can see a lacrosse stick and people know what it was. I think what people were looking for is some other alternatives to the traditional sports. Soccer, as we all know, has been a great sport and one of the fastest growing sports for the last 20 or 30 years. We all know the traditional sports of baseball, football, and basketball are going to continue to grow and always are a good base of sports in the United States. But lacrosse seems to be kind of the X Games sport in the team environment. It seems to be kind of cool and kind of fun to play. And that kind of transferred down into the South, into Atlanta and Charlotte and Nashville. And now it's really in every part of the country. And the South is probably, and Atlanta has been called the fastest growing area in the whole country as far as sports goes. And Gwinnett County, I know for a fact, has been booming in lacrosse.
Absolutely. I know that, and you make mention of this in your comments, that I think probably it was just a very natural fit, if you will, for some of those parents. And I'm talking about youth sports in particular now, but some parents are looking for some alternatives to their kids being involved in football that some parents today think is just too violent. The potential to get hurt there is just too much. And it does seem like lacrosse is really starting to bleed in where soccer might have been the only alternative in town for a while.
No question about it. You know, I never like to say anything bad about any other sport because all the sports are great, and it's great to see kids out there active. It's good for a lot of reasons. But again, I think people are looking for other alternatives. I think they're looking for something that their kids are not tired of playing. Just another activity to look at it, and it's another fun sport, and sports or youth sports have really been taken off, and it's fun to follow.
You know, Chris, one of the things that's interesting to me when we talk about youth sports, whether it's lacrosse or whether it's the traditional sports that we've already alluded to as well, this whole travel team phenomenon that's taking place, I had no idea what a huge business this was, but lacrosse has certainly jumped into that field as well as far as those travel leagues, the travel tournaments. Tell us a little bit about the origin of that as it applies to lacrosse and where we are with that as far as the status of that movement.
Well, as we all know, and I've got 4 kids, and we were talking earlier, you have kids, and there's nothing better than watching your child succeed, which is a great thing, and that's what we all want to do. Sports in every way is snuck into our lives, which is a good thing, and it's very important. As I mentioned before, athletics and some of the items you learn in youth sports and team sports, camaraderie and leadership and hard work and all the positives that you think about what sports bring to the table are great things to teach kids. Youth sports went from the origins of the rec league to the local travel league to now the kind of national travel leagues, which is what's happening, and families and kids are traveling the country in youth sports. It's become a $9 billion industry is what I understand. And lacrosse has followed that path with everybody else. And what I think people like about it and have fun with and why they want to come to Gwinnett County is it's fun to travel with your kids, watch them play, and have a vacation, family vacation as in travel sports. And that's what's happened, and that's what that phenomenon is today. The challenge is, and again, this is my opinions, is to make it fun, competitive, affordable, all the positives that we can make not only for the kids and be examples for the kids, but also for the parents, because as we all know, it's challenging times economically, and we want that experience to be a great experience for the whole family.
You know, I was reading something the other day, Chris, about the economy and the downturn we had in the economy, and people were much more hesitant to go out and buy a new home or a new car or a high-price electronic item. But youth sports, they continue to put their money into their kids' youth sports leagues and athletics and things like that. So, you know, maybe you're right. They see it as a way to accomplish all these things in one, as far as including vacation into the youth sports, and they're able to accomplish all of that through that one effort there.
Well, it's a great avenue for what you said. You know, not saying that going to the beach isn't a great thing to do, but being with your family, playing, interacting with your kids, playing sports, meeting some other friends, traveling with neighbors, meeting some new people, your kids getting to know somebody they never knew before, getting to know how to do something they haven't done, coming to Gwinnett County and seeing some place that they've never been. Those are all real positives to what's going on and what's going on with it. And that's why people want to do it, because they really want to spend time with their families.
Absolutely.
And this is how they're doing it.
Chris, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about the youth sports as far as the competition levels we see now when we return.
Be happy to.
We're talking today with Chris Hutchinson of ALOHA Lacrosse. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
15 on the shot clock. Crowley trying to find his one-hander and scores!
You get Miller trying to go over the top, and he slam dunks it in. You can count that one.
Matthews, one hand, walking the dog. Reza Terrence, what a move!
Berger, the veteran, shifty, face dodge move, diving, and he scores!
Up top, Snyder avoids the hit from Malaya. Free, and the rookie scores again!
The jumper over the top, and he scored. The slam dunk from Ned Brody, and he's got the hat trick.
Something new makes its way to the city of Atlanta. A city already rich in golf history welcomes the legends of the game. Like Freddie Boom Boom Couples, Fred Funk, and Larry Nelson. The PGA Tour has been crowning their season's best in the Jewel of the South for years at the Tour Championship.
Brett Snedeker is the 2012 Tour Championship winner.
But now, it's their turn.
And it feels like I'm just too close to love you, so I'll be on my way.
This might go down as one of the best shots I have ever seen.
In dramatic fashion, Tom Watson.
So I'll be on my way.
Oh my!
All eyes will turn to the Champions Tour at TPC Sugarloaf, as each player will vie to become the first ever Greater Gwinnett Championship winner. Set to play April 15th to the 21st, 2013.
Welcome back to the show. We're talking today with Chris Hutchinson about the fantastic sport that's growing here in Gwinnett and across the country called lacrosse. Chris, before the break, we had talked a little bit about the phenomenon where the travel teams are really starting to become a big thing in lacrosse as well as some other sports. From a competitive level, tell us a little bit how that probably gives a kid or a parent or a coach or whatever a better idea of a child's athletic abilities rather than just playing in their own backyard, if you will, all the time.
Yeah, that's when we go from a local to a regional to a national type situation in the travel sports world. There's a lot of reasons for it. As you said, you really kind of you get tired of playing the teams in your local area. You want to test yourself a lot of times from areas where you've heard there's good players. You know, with the social phenomena of social media and the internet, you would not believe what kids know. They know who can do this, who can do that. They're communicating with them through Facebook or Twitter or all different ways. So they might have a relationship with a child in Florida or South Carolina or Alabama, or he might be talking a big game, and all of a sudden they say, we're going to meet at this tournament, and then there's the competition for you. There's some, again, you got to be careful with all that a little bit, because again, you want to make it fair, you want to make it fun, you want to make it competitive. But that's what's going on with teams coming in from really all over, from the South, and a lot of times you can get into some national situations, which they'll come in from all 48 states. Right.
You know, we talked about the traditional sports, if you would, the sports that I was raised up on. You know, there was youth ball, there was high school, college, and then there was professionals that everybody always wanted to get to. Very few ever do, but that's every kid's goal, is to play professional in whatever their sport might be. And, you know, I don't know that if some of the people watching today realize or not, but there actually is a professional lacrosse league. And I understand you have a great wealth of experience in that. Tell us a little bit about what this professional lacrosse league is made up of, and what the status of their organization is.
Well, they're in their 11th year. It was a couple guys, David Morrow and Jake Steinfeld, had this dream to, exactly what you said, to see lacrosse players playing at the highest level. And I was fortunate enough to help in that development, and was owner and helped develop the league at its beginnings. And the idea was, again, to have a professional league and show people that you could have a career in lacrosse, and to have the best of the best plan. We originally started with pretty much in the Northeast, with teams in Baltimore, Long Island, New Jersey, Rochester, New York, Boston, and Bridgeport, Connecticut. It morphed into about 10 teams going nationwide. It then, when things the economy went back, it shrank a little bit, and now it's up to about 8 teams. There's another team in Denver, there's a team in Ohio, there's a team in Charlotte. Actually, the MLL All-Star game is going to be in Charlotte this summer.
Wow.
So it's really, really it's here to stay. And it's given an opportunity to see the best of the best, and it's changed the game, and it's been a great thing for the development of lacrosse also.
You know, we have a wonderful opportunity and a showcase here in Gwinnett coming up, where people who love lacrosse can really see some good youth lacrosse being played, and people who may, like myself, who are not that familiar with it, will have a good chance to learn about it. Tell us about the event that you have coming to Gwinnett here this year.
Well, we have an event coming up May 18th and 19th. It's called the Warrior Spring Fever, and we've partnered with Gwinnett County and the Sports Commission for the past 4 years. This will be our 5th year of the event, and it's been a wonderful event in Atlanta for us. We have it up at Rabbit Hill Park, which, if you haven't been up there, is a wonderful park, and it's actually, yeah, they've just finished. I think they're finishing the finishing touches on the whole park. We're going to have 9 fields up there. We're going to have ages, boys ages U11 up to U19. We'll have anywhere between 80 and 100 teams. A lot of teams right out of Gwinnett County, which we're really excited to have, because it's helped develop some of those high school teams. But we'll also have a lot of teams from Atlanta, and then we'll have a lot of teams from around the Southeast. I know we have a group that comes up from Alabama, loves coming back to Atlanta every year, and we have some interest in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and it's really, when we put on an event, and as I said, we try to make it a celebration of lacrosse. Each team plays 5 games. It's a competitive event. You come out of your pool, and then there's a championship in each age group. But everybody gets a T-shirt. We spend a lot of time making a fun T-shirt with kind of fun characters on the back, so that's a fun thing. As I said, we have a great facility that we use, and it's just a great competition. It's a great weekend. This year we're going to add girls, okay, which is, again, girls is different than boys, as I mentioned before, and we're going to start off with kind of an introduction to lacrosse, do a clinic to start with in the morning, and then we're going to do some We have a lady coming down from Baltimore who's going to be working with us who coached the U19 national team. She's going to talk a little bit about the development lacrosse. A lot of parents want to know about college.
Absolutely.
She's going to talk about that. And then we're going to break them in and do kind of a small little tournament in the afternoon, just a small little start to the women's part of the piece of the tournament. And then we're hoping to build it into, so we have boys and girls and build it into something special.
Yeah, well, it sounds like a great opportunity, and we certainly appreciate you bringing the event here, and we're glad to host that with you too. So.
Well, we've got great partners down here, and we love having great partners, and we love coming back here every year.
Well, Chris, that's all the time we have today, but thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. We look forward to your tournament, and good luck with that as well.
Oh, we're excited about it. Thank you, Sam.
That's all the time we have today. If you have questions or comments about today's show or ideas for future shows, you can reach us at the phone number or the email address shown at the end of the show. I'm Stan Hall. Thanks for being with us. See you next time. And by the way, get in the game.
Inside roll, shovel shot, score!
One way, back the other. Woodson again with another highlight reel goal. Wow!
Not giving up. Jamison drives the cage, behind the back, score!
Something new makes its way to the city of Atlanta. A city already rich in golf history welcomes the legends of the game. Like Freddie Boom Boom Couples, Fred Funk, and Larry Nelson. The PGA Tour has been crowning their season's best in the Jewel of the South for years at the Tour Championship.
Brett Snedeker is the 2012 Tour Championship winner.
But now, it's their turn.
And it feels like I'm just too close to love you. So I'll be on my way.
This might go down as one of the best shots I have ever seen.
In dramatic fashion, Tom Watson.
So I'll be on my way.
Oh my!
All eyes will turn to the Champions Tour at TPC Sugarloaf, as each player will vie to become the first ever Greater Gwinnett Championship winner. Set to play April 15th to the 21st, 2013.